Well, hello, everybody. Week 16. Hello, Andrea. Hello, E111. Thank you for the kind words. Hope everyone's doing well and roaring into their fantasy playoffs in high style. All your players healthy, wealthy, rolling along at full speed, ready to kick ass, take names, do all that kind of stuff. It's going to be an interesting week, everybody. Got all kinds of things going on, things we'll have to deal with and take care of, and I'll help you get there. Hopefully, we'll talk through some of your situations, some of your questions, address some of your concerns. Championship weekend. Hey, Tony, thanks for coming, everybody. Some newsy items. Jonathan Taylor, of course, not playing the rest of the season now, placed on injured reserve. The Thursday night game. We've got Saturday games, everybody. It's going to be weird this week. I don't know how trying to, you get set into your routine and your groove and everything's rolling along, and all of a sudden you think like, wow, they're changing things up. We have all these Saturday games. I have to make a whole different set of decisions. But it shouldn't be that bad. Thursday night football, Trevor Lawrence seems likely to play, listed as questionable. Zach Wilson will get the start. One thing to watch, Zonovan Knight listed as questionable in this game. Jaguars defense, not like an impenetrable wall. You might want to play some of these guys. Jalen Hurts. Hate to see that. He's got the shoulder injury. Seems almost certainly they're not going to play. They aren't ruling him out yet, and why would they? But look for Gardner Minshew, the stash, to get the start in this one. Lamar Jackson, thought he would be back this week. Not so fast, kids. Looks like Lamar Jackson has yet to practice this week. And also, Tyler Huntley showed up on the injury report. So that's not great news, right? Hate to see that. He's got a right shoulder issue, so that's something to watch. Anthony Brown's next man up. Nick Chubb's got a sore foot. That's something to watch. Ryan Tannehill dealing with the ankle injury. Seems like he might miss this game. Malik Willis started the last game against the Texans. A lot of King Henry in that one. We all like that. Tyler Lockett out at least a week after finger surgery. What else do we got here? Oh, Matt Ryan benched. Sad news for Matt Ryan. Maybe not so much for the rest of us. So, the Saturday games are definitely an issue. We'll see how the injury reports play out. And, of course, we do have 3 games on Christmas Day as well. So that'll be something to watch. And it makes it a little different, though, if you're some of your fallback options, maybe you have a guy that's playing Sunday that's a little bit questionable that you'd like to wait on. You're not going to be able to wait. And, of course, a Monday night game as well. So this is going to be a little bit trickier of a week than maybe we'd find ideal most weeks. But anyway, here to answer your questions, talk it through, get some things figured out to the best, as best we can, right? And work through some of the injury issues and try and help you figure out your handcuffs. I know the Colts backfield is on everyone's mind. Happy holiday, Jason. Thanks for coming. And Peyton, WA55, definitely concerns. My best bet for the league back. Let me make sure I didn't miss any questions above there. Going to roar through questions as much as possible tonight. Again, won't be here Saturday. You can catch me, though. Lots of Bob Harris to come. Let's figure it out here. Thursday night, Football Diehards radio program on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. Dempsey will be away covering the Jaguars. Justin Fensterman, the one and only, will be joining me on that program for Thursday night. We'll cover the game, do the usual stuff we do Thursday, take a lot of lineup calls heading into Saturday. We'll do the same thing Friday night, Dempsey and I, from 10 p.m. until midnight. So be sure to get your calls in then if you have further questions. Saturday, the SiriusXM pregame show will be Saturday, 11 to 1. Jeff Mans and myself doing our usual pregame duty. It'll just be on Saturday instead of Sunday. And then Saturday night, I'll be back for my usual show Saturday night. Dempsey and I, 3 hours, except it's an hour earlier this week. So 7 to 10 instead of 8 to 11. It's always some confusion. And then I'll be back Christmas Day. Justin Fensterman and myself will be going from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. So 3 hours of radio goodness, kind of covering the games, recapping what's gone on. If you have any questions leading in that day, we'll certainly take your calls if you'd like to make them. You might be open to presents. I don't know. Might have something else going on. I have it on good authority. Santa Claus will deliver this week, so if he's in your lineup, expect good things. Other than that, let's get into the questions, everybody. Ho, ho, ho. I'm Bob Harris. Happy holidays. Zach, okay, so I wanted the best bet for the lead back in Indy. This could go either way, right? I mean, so I think if I was in a PPR league, I'd feel a little more comfortable with Deion Jackson based on we've seen him get a lot of targets in games when Jonathan Taylor wasn't there. But Zach Moss, I think, is the guy. You saw it against Minnesota, had a ton of touches, 24, I want to say, carries. And he seems like he's the between the tackle guys. They raised Jordan Wilkins, elevated him from the practice squad. Maybe he's a fly in the ointment. Maybe they play all three and it just gets difficult to decide. Honestly, I want to avoid this one. Mentioned Matt Ryan benched in favor of Nick Foles. So I think that keeps the receiving elements that you were already interested in, Michael Pittman Jr. at least, on your radar. Maybe Paris Campbell, said a guy who has to start Paris Campbell this week at a fortuitous time. And so, yeah, so you're looking for other options in the backfield, or at least I would be. But if you don't have them, I think my preferred order is Moss and Deion Jackson. I think they're so close, though. Play the one you got. If you got them both, that's my lean. If you're in a PPR, maybe you need more of a swing for the fence play. Maybe it's Jackson over Moss. So that's my best bet. Zach Wilson or Davis Mills? Come on down, Zach Wilson. Got some injuries on the defensive side of the ball. Trayvon Walker out for the Jaguars. But in general, the Jaguars defense not fantastic, right? So I mean, you could make a little hay against them. Zach Wilson, I think he's probably not ideal, but he was not horrible against Detroit. And Detroit's one of those defenses that's not as bad as it was, but still not good. Maybe Zach Wilson can continue to show a little progress. I think I'm still playing Garrett Wilson as well in that one. Hopefully Zonovan Knight plays. A good matchup for him as well, but we'll see about that. If not, Michael Carter, step on down. Poor Matt Ryan. I don't know if it's poor Matt Ryan. Maybe fortunate Matt Ryan. Just to get the hell out of that mess. Don't know where Andy's going. Sounds like they'll be in the market for quarterbacks and coaches and all kinds of things. So, hello, Dame Overboard. Thanks for coming. Great to see you. Slayton or Godwin? Terrell Taltoan wants to know. Slayton or Goodwin. I'm sorry. So yeah, Seattle mentioned Tyler Lockett out. Goodwin moves up into that rotation. Yeah, I think he's a playable commodity. I'd probably feel a little more comfortable with Slayton. And by the way, when you throw these in there, give me the first initial, last name, who they're playing against. If you see Andrea's question there, that reminded me, and it also reminded me, I'm thinking off the top of my head who the Giants play, and I know who it is. But it's not right at the top of my head, so I have to go look. But I think it was not a bad matchup is what I was thinking. And I know Seattle's playing Kansas City. It's going to be very cold in Kansas City. So watch that. The Giants are playing. As soon as I see it, I'm going to be really irritated that I didn't know. The Vikings. So a pretty favorable matchup. So, yeah, that's what was stuck in the back of my head was it was a good matchup. So now that I check and I see it's a good matchup, it is a good matchup. So yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and play Slayton. Right, I think the Seattle may need to, push it a little bit, right? But still, I think Slayton is the primary weapon. It turns out, it seems like it, as you watch the Giants, like one of those guys is showing up. Whether it's usually Slayton, but like maybe it's Richie James, maybe Isaiah Hodgins in the end zone. Someone delivers. So, hello, Mr. Scampers. Thanks for coming. So I'd lean Slayton over Goodwin, but I do think Goodwin's a viable play. Andrea needs one wide receiver and one flex between Devontae Smith versus Dallas, DJ Moore versus Detroit, Rashad White versus Arizona, McKinnon versus Seattle in a PPR. I don't know how you sit McKinnon right now. I've been talking about this for a few weeks, and I mean, not that I didn't think Pacheco was a great play last week, but if you listen to Jeff Mans and I in the pregame show, we had Matt Derrick from Chiefs Digest on, and I was grilling him. I'm saying, man, Jerick McKinnon is not going away, right? I mean, because we were all kind of in on Pacheco, thinking it's a great matchup. He should dominate against that porous run defense. And more so, it was like McKinnon is going to be a factor. And why do we, think back to last year. When the games mattered the most, that's when we started seeing more McKinnon. Andy Reid has a level of trust in him, clearly. And so that's something we should be mindful of. I think McKinnon's a playable asset, especially in PPR, Andrea. So he would be my flex. And my wide receiver, with the quarterback situation, might want to dial back on Smith. Also, the other thing to remember about Smith is Dallas Goedert's back. Kind of, Smith was a little hit or miss, then Goddard went away. Smith was a little less hit or miss, a little more consistently productive. Maybe some of those targets were going to him that would previously be going to Dallas Goedert. Now they're going to Smith. Maybe they go back to Goddard. Maybe all the cards are off the table or everything's up in the air because we'll have a different quarterback. I will say Gardner Minshew was pretty serviceable last year. I think it's the good news there is the coaching staff has started him before, knows what he does well, knows how to leverage his ability and talents. So hopefully it works out well. But I'd probably go with DJ Moore versus Detroit in this one. Rashad White's, McKinnon over White, DJ Moore over Smith for right now. maybe watch that. I'm like almost 100% sure Goddard's back, right? I mean, they've activated him. He's not on the injury report. Don't see any reason why he wouldn't. Tony Lasswell has a couple of concerns going into the two different leagues, scoring only in a half-point superflex league. All right, I'm sure I will see that question. Erica Morales, Mostert versus Green Bay, Montgomery versus Bills, or White versus Arizona. I kind of like them in the order you have them. Maybe I like Montgomery better. It's going to be freezing cold in Chicago, icy cold. In fact, the Bills are leaving a day early. The Bills are flying out Thursday because the bomb cyclone is passing through. Maybe we want to see what the weather looks like. You all know that I'm kind of weather agnostic. I don't really worry about the weather, especially for running backs. But I think, just generally speaking, I kind of like them in this order if I knew there was no Jeff Wilson. Because Khalil Herbert's coming back as well this week, or it has the possibility to come back. So right now, I like them in the order you have them. That might change. Montgomery might move up the ranks a little bit. It's about hit or miss. Let's see what Emo's early cheat sheet says. That one's pretty damn close. I'm not going to lie. Mostert. So Montgomery 18, Mostert 23. So maybe watch the associated pieces. I think you could play either. And I don't disagree with Montgomery liking him a little bit more, right? I just, they're all sharing. Montgomery's sharing whether he's sharing with Khalil Mack or Justin Fields, right? I mean, they're sharing there. Mostert didn't have to share a hell of a lot, but shared a little bit with Salvon Ahmed in Buffalo. But we'll see with Jeff Wilson. They said Jeff Wilson was close last week, so I'm guessing he'll be back. I still think Mostert gets the lion's share, or at least plays the lead role until I have further notice. But Montgomery does. So maybe that's where you split it out, Erica. Say, okay, I know Montgomery is the lead back here. Buffalo, Raheem Mostert says you can run on the Bills. So that's probably now that I've talked it through. We didn't talk about anything. I talked it through. Great question, though, to prompt that. It's Wednesday, people. I'm still working through this stuff just like you are. Come on now. And this is how you kind of get there, right? You kind of work through, the possibilities and the range of outcomes and try and figure it out. So that's where I'm at now. Montgomery, Mostert, then White. I feel like it seems like, Fournette's coming on a little bit more as we get down the stretch. Maybe just a more trustworthy piece for Tom Brady. Anyway, that's where we're at, Erica. I hope this works out. Will Power, Purdy or Minshew? Purdy. I have $15 out of my $50 budget list. Also going to make a play on Jerick McKinnon. I would make a play on Jerick McKinnon. 13 on McKinnon and 2 on either quarterback. I think those are reasonable. I'd want to get Purdy. Like his supporting cast. Could use him beyond this week if you needed to. And he's not been bad, right? I mean, it's not, he's been pretty good. Turns out maybe the coaching matters. I don't know. And Minshew, again, he has great options as well. The Dallas defense, we saw it. Trevor Lawrence beat them. But what you have to do is get past the pass rush, which is great. But after that, there are winnable matchups there for the outside plays in your offense. And there's some good outside players in the Philadelphia offense. So I'm leaning Purdy over Minshew. I do think that bid on McKinnon was wise because I don't think he's going away down the stretch. Peyton, WA55. That's the whole thing. Who do I like? Tight end, Everett versus Indianapolis or Goddard versus Dallas? Tua versus Green Bay or Burrow versus New England? By the way, I am Pat B. Not sure why I have a new name. Hello, Pat B. I don't know why you do either. Maybe you're logged into a different device or something. Anyway. Boy, I prefer Tua's matchup, but I probably still prefer Burrow. Let's see where Emo's at on his. Burrow, 5 and 6. There's not a wrong answer here on the quarterback, anyway. I'd probably take a chance on Goddard, honestly. I mean, Everett's okay, and I think he's perfectly serviceable. But I think I'd take a chance on Goddard in his first game back. See where the ranks say. And it's not so much that I'm pro Goddard. It's just mostly, I'm just kind of not 100% all in on Everett. I mean, he's good. Top 10, sure. But I mean, that's, once you get past that top 5, anything goes. I might wait a little bit and see what you hear about the practice reports coming out of Philadelphia on Goddard. If everything seems really positive, I'd go in that direction. Everett's perfectly suitable fallback, though, if you get nervous. Or if you just want to avoid Goddard in the first game back and slow roll him a little bit, perfectly fine with that. He doesn't have his regular quarterback in Jalen Hurts. So That'd be fine. Jason Wilson. In a non-PPR, would you start one of the Indy guys versus Chargers over Tyler Algier versus the Ravens? That is a very good question, Jason Wilson. It would be tempting, right? I mean, that's the thing about that matchup. The Chargers not good against stopping the run. If it was, I mean, for me, it's probably Moss, but I think you could play either of them. They're both, whichever backfield you're tapping into, they're splitting to some degree, right? I think in the case of the Colts running backs, they're splitting less with their quarterback. Nick Foles not going to be doing a lot of downfield athletic stuff. Desmond Ridder is. Boy, that is tough. I'm probably still leaning Algier. I kind of like the direction this is going. You can still run against the Ravens. I mean, it's tougher, but you can still do it. Boy, this is a close call, I think. Just checking some numbers. Bear with me while I check numbers just to make sure I'm not saying something incredibly stupid. Yeah, Baltimore's third against the run, so it's tough. It's not impenetrable, but it's tough. I wouldn't talk you out of going. So I guess it depends on which one you have. If it's Moss, I'd probably be okay going that in the run matchup. Probably be okay with either of them. Let me just see where we're at on those. What ranks we got on those? Jackson. Yeah, it's a great matchup. I'd probably. So here's what we do this time of year, right? We get cute. We outsmart ourselves. I don't think this is outsmarting yourself. I think this is just a smart move, trying to leverage that matchup. So I would be for that. I don't know which one you have. Maybe let me know that, Jason, and we'll talk it through a little further. Paul DeSantis in his standard dynasty league, Fournette at Arizona, ETN at New York Jets, or Deion Jackson versus LIC. I like him probably Fournette, then Jackson, then ETN. It's a tough matchup. ETN ran the ball fine this past week. Just doesn't seem to be clicking for him quite right. Gets the volume, so I guess that's okay. Just don't like the Jets matchup. Iron Eddie 1120, Brady versus Arizona or Tua versus Green Bay. This is a week where Mike Dempsey and I were talking about this a little bit, where you could probably play Brady if you had to. I'm still playing Tua, though. It's a reasonable enough matchup for him. The weather should be okay there in Florida. That would be good news. So, and again, weather will be fine in Arizona as well. So, it is a good matchup for Brady, but I'm probably still sticking with Tua in those high-end plays. In the scoring-only league, Tony Laswell says, if Hurts doesn't play, do I go with Daniel Jones, Purdy, or Watson? And at wide receiver, since they switched to Foles, and then did you stay with Pittman or Cooper, Judy, Olave? So I don't know that, Foles necessarily hurts the downfield, throwing game here. Maybe he's even better. Those are viable plays. It's going to be freezing cold in Cleveland. Less so for the Judy game. Olave's beat up. I'm worried about Olave. Has he had to practice this week? It's a hamstring issue. If he's going into the cold of Cleveland with the soft tissue issues, that's always a concern. Muscle injuries in the cold weather. Generally speaking, not certainly speaking, generally speaking, are an issue. So I'd probably stick with Pittman here. I know Russell Wilson's coming back. Sounds like Cortland Sutton will be back too. I don't know that I would, that would scare me off Judy, but if I was splitting hairs here, I'm trying to talk myself into Pittman with Foles, and I think I've done it. I think I've done that. Let me just check some numbers just to make sure. I hate to say something incredibly stupid. Judy, yeah, I'm going with Pittman for sure. The Chargers, okay against pass. I mean, I guess it's pretty close. Those guys are all in the same kind of tier right there. So I don't know that there's a wrong answer. So it's maybe just almost your gut feeling. And it would be Pittman for me. Olave not quite healthy. Cooper going to be freezing. I mean, Cooper's okay. I guess I like him in the order you have him right now. Daniel Jones, Purdy, or Watson. I'd probably go with Daniel Jones. Watson would be fine as well. Purdy would be my third option. E111 non-PPR for the ship in the big game. Flex McLaurin, Mike Williams, Murray, or Mostert. I like Latavius Murray's matchup this week. I'm not going to lie. But I'm probably not going that far. Oh, the Commanders are playing future questions. Put a team in there, so I'm not sitting here looking it up. Again, I know who they're playing. I just don't have it on 49ers, so I'm probably laying off McLaurin. Oh, boy. I like that Denver matchup against the Rams. Murray might be my choice here as I work it through. Oh. Not against Mike Williams. So it's between Murray and Mostert, I guess. I might be a little too into the Murray matchup. I think I'm going to go Murray. Let's see where email has. Yeah, I'm going to go Murray. Volume and a good matchup. Dang it. I hate it when that happens. Actually, I like it when it happens. Mr. Scampers, how am I feeling about Christian Kirk tomorrow against the Jets? Half-point PPR starting him over Juju and Latavius Murray going against each other. I'm not against Latavius Murray in this game. I don't think this is the worst matchup in the world for him. It is not a great matchup for Christian Kirk. I feel like Kirk has more upside. Kind of counting on Trevor Lawrence to keep the ball rolling, right? I'm probably saying Murray here, but I'm just gonna check the flex rankings and see where we have that at. Murray. Yeah, I'm gonna lean Murray, Scampers. Oh, look at me go. Latavius Murray. Who would have thought going into the season that I would be excited about Latavius Murray? It would be Murray, then Kirk, and they're really close, Scampers. So, like, if you've got the hunch about Murray and you think it's going to be okay, they probably won't be targeting him against if he sees any Sauce Gardner. Apparently, the Lions targeted him 0 times. Sauce very offended. That's where I'm going. I'm going Murray and then Kirk. And I think, again, they're close enough. I'm not going to pretend, guys ranked within 3 or 4 of each other, I can predict with that kind of clarity. So if you have the hunch on Kirk, go ahead. It's close enough. Murray for me. All right. Need 2, Mixon versus New England, or Dobbins versus Atlanta, or Rashad White versus Arizona. Probably Dobbins first. Well, Dobbins, so I don't want to it's Mixon and Dobbins for me. The primary options in both cases, it's the New England, not a greatest matchup, but I'm going to, take a piece of that Cincinnati offense no matter what. Mr. Scampers apologizing for double tomorrows. You never have to apologize to me, sir. You're a cat. You have me at C-A-T. Urgent! Thomas Bain says, urgent! Lawrence, Foles, or Pickett at quarterback. Lawrence plays tomorrow night. I'd probably play Lawrence. Not like super keen, on the matchup. It's not my favorite matchup, but it's still, he's playing at a great rate. I'd probably stick with him. Foles, you're hoping to catch a little lightning in a bottle. It's not a great offense. It's lost another piece. Let me just see where the rankings are at on these guys and see how far out of line I am. Lawrence, we still have it number 10, or Emo does it as initial rankings. I mean, I think that's pretty reasonable, right? I'm not expecting the high upside game from him, but I think getting a solid game out of him is perfectly suitable against the Jets. Can you get 20-plus points? Is that what you need? I mean, I think he can get in that range. So I would probably go ahead. I'm probably going to play him. Like, do I have more confidence in, him, Pickett? I mean, could have put the team in there in the question. It would have been helpful. Again, Pickett's, like, you could play any of these guys. I mean, the Raiders not an impenetrable wall, right? So, I mean, I'm fine with that. I mean, it feels like you don't want to play Lawrence because you're afraid of the matchup. So don't play Lawrence. I would play Lawrence. Let's see. I think I scrolled down too far. There it is. Half-point PPR, Iron Eddie. Okonkwo versus Houston. Conklin versus Jacksonville. Bellinger versus Minnesota. I like Okonkwo just fine, but you wonder if it's going to be Malik Willis. What, did he throw the ball like 6 times the last time these two teams met? Once in the second half, I know for sure. I probably would dial back on Okonkwo this week. I think it'll be a Derrick Henry week. Conklin coming off the C.J. Uzomah Two touchdown bonanza. That was a little worrisome. Bellinger versus Minnesota. Bellinger has not been. I like Bellinger. I drafted him some this summer, so I would like to see him do well. What did we get from Bellinger last week, just in general, in terms of targets? 4 targets. There is probably Nick Bandit's probably not going to play, so he only caught one of those targets. I feel like I'm leaning in a different direction. I feel like I'm leaning towards Conklin and probably shouldn't. Those touchdowns are having me nervous, right? It's the best matchup, though. Probably going to stick with Conklin. I mean, both tight ends got 2. I don't know if that's more of a Zach Wilson thing or not. I'm probably going to lean Conklin here. Wouldn't blame you if you played a Conquo. And maybe if it's Ryan Tannehill, maybe that's a determining factor. Maybe we'll find out, gain a little clarity on that Friday or Thursday when they put the injury report out. I'm confused by the injury report days because Saturday games. I guess they'll put that out Thursday. So, yeah, watch the injury report, Iron Eddie. And if Ryan Tannehill looks, if we have some confidence that he's going to play, I'd probably go Conquo. Otherwise, I'd go Conklin. Tony Laswell, half-point PPR league, Daniel Jones versus Minnesota, Watson versus New Orleans, or Purdy versus Washington. I'm probably going to play Daniel Jones there, like the matchup. Not against either of the other two. Goddard or Ingram. I'm going to probably take a chance on Goddard in this one and see where it goes. Just got to watch and make sure he's going to be up and running. Jason Wilson, Olave is looking banged up. Yes, has not practiced yet this week, and it's a hamstring, and it's really cold weather. That worries me. If he sits in a non-PPR, would I play Brandon Ayuk versus the Commanders, Brandon Cooks versus the Titans, Jameson Williams versus the Panthers, or Jahan Dotson versus the 49ers? I'd probably take the matchup and play Brandon Cooks. I'm assuming he'll play a full participant in practice. Brandon Ayuk I like, but it seems a little hit or miss for him. Even with no Deebo Samuel, like Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle are heavily involved, so yeah, I'd probably lean Brandon Cooks given the matchup. I mean, Jameson Williams isn't getting enough playing time. Jahan Dotson is, and he looked great last week, but it's against the 49ers. I'm probably not forcing Commanders into lineups that I don't have to. Dame Overboard and a half-point PPR need 2. Zonovan Knight versus Jacksonville, David Montgomery versus Buffalo, Moser versus Green Bay, Pittman versus Los Angeles Chargers. Zonovan Knight, if he's active and playing, I like him against the Jaguars, and David Montgomery. So those would be my first 2 choices. If Zonovan Knight, for some reason, the questionable designation keeps him from playing, then I'd just pivot over to the other running back there, and who is Mostert. Jason Mossman, or Mosman. No Moss, man. Half-point PPR. Needs 2 running backs and 1 flex between Pacheco, Ken Walker, Mixon, Zach Moss, Rachaad White. I'd probably go Brandon Cooks just slightly ahead of Peoples-Jones, slightly ahead of Goodwin in the wide receivers. And, wouldn't talk you out if you felt like Peoples-Jones has gained a little more momentum, or you're just worried about the Houston offense in general. We'll get that. I mean, it seems like the lead wide receiver there has gotten a little something done. I'm assuming it'll be Cooks if he's back. So need three running backs out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 running backs. So I'm going to probably play Pacheco and Mixon. Walker, if he's off the injury report, he did not practice to open the week, would be my 3rd. If he's not available to go, I'd probably go Rachaad White over Zach Moss. Lawrence at Jets on Thursday night. I believe we've seen this one. Sorry I didn't get it to it as fast as you wanted. Thank you, Keith Stewart. Appreciate that. So if you're down the stream, I'm going through every question. I will get to you in the order that I get to you. So don't think I'm not ignoring anybody. I will be here the full hour. Keith Stewart loves the Football Diehards show on Sirius. He can listen to that on Monday, Thursday, and Fridays at 10 p.m. each of those nights. Saturdays, normally 8 to 11. This weekend, it'll be 7 to 10. You can catch me on the pregame show on Sundays, 11 to 1 with Jeff Mans. So tune into that like Keith Stewart does. He has Higgins, Waddle, Kirk, A.J. Brown. One of them has to sit. Which one? Oh, probably Kirk, given the matchup. That made it easy. E111, need 2 non-PPRs. Zay Jones at Jets, Godwin at KC, Lazard at Miami, Pittman versus the Chargers, and Olave at the Browns. Ugh. Hey, I don't like. I'm not. So Pittman will be one of them for sure, right? In the non-PPR, and hope Big Nick Foles can pull it off. I don't want to chase Zay Jones too much against the Jets, but might, right? I mean, it's just I think we're not going to have enough information on Olave. In terms of injury, I'm guessing we'll have a questionable designation at best, so probably just want to avoid that. It would probably be Zay Jones against the Jets, but let me just check the matchups on Lazard. That's a tough one, man. I'd probably take my chances with Jones, just given the options, right? I probably would do that. Horrifying. Further to that, Purdy or Minshew question. I have AJ Brown, Christian McCaffrey, and George Kittle. Do I risk the stack in San Francisco? I'd spread it out. That makes more sense. I mean, I prefer Purdy, but I mean, you're already getting some pieces of him with McCaffrey and Kittle. Yeah, I mean, it's not like such a wide arc that I feel like I need to play Purdy. In a vacuum, I prefer to play Purdy, but in this case, maybe Minshew, just so I have a little more even distribution of offenses. Click. Who was semifinal team one? Mahomes. So I don't know. Who wins semifinals? Team one: Mahomes, Devontae Adams, Christian Watson, Eckler, Connor, Kittle, Garrett Wilson, Pats. Team two, I'd probably go with team one. B. Andrews, PPR league, pick 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a flex. So you want me to pick 4 players out of 5? I'd probably sit Zach Moss. I don't see any wide receivers. Who are the wide receivers? Yeah, I'm confused. Okay. E111 in Goddard's favor. He had the best game with Minshew last year. Fair enough. Would I start the Bengals? Peyton won WA55. Would I start the Bengals defense, special teams, or New England or Philadelphia versus Dallas? I'd probably start the Bengals. Yeah, I'd probably do that. Bengals seem perfectly reasonable. They're playing really well, and Mac Jones is not. I think I'm starting Goddard over Freiermuth. Not unreasonable. Sorry, I hit early. Oh, okay. My wide receivers are, so I need 2 of these as well. And one of those flex. So I got to, the 2 wide receivers I play are Mike Williams and Zay Jones. Even a tough matchup. If you're afraid of Zay Jones, it'd be Darius Slayton next. Slightly ahead of Juju. And if I was playing a flex, I'd probably stick with the running backs, as I said before. Brown defense too cute, or stick with Denver? I don't know that it's too cute. I mean, you never know when Andy Dalton's going to have a bad game. I'd probably stick with Denver, though, just against the Rams. I would. QB Carr, Dak, or Goff in a PPR. How many passes will they catch? I don't think very many. Carr. I'm probably going to stick with Dak. Dak played has pretty good history against Philadelphia. I know it's a tough matchup. Goff seems like maybe he's a good play as well. Let me see what the rankings say on Goff. Yeah, it'd probably be Prescott for me. Philadelphia's tough. It has some tough individual players, but it's not like they're an impenetrable wall. I like Goff against Carolina, but they're actually a little better against the pass than. And Pittsburgh is the easiest one to pass against. Why do I not trust Derek Carr? I just don't. I'd probably go in the order that you've listed them. Or no, the Dak, Carr, then Goff for me. Okay, need 1 wide receiver and 1 flex. Evans versus Arizona, Olave versus Cleveland, Zeke versus Philadelphia, Dobbins at Atlanta. I'd probably go with Dobbins and Evans. That's okay. You're all right, E111. It just helps facilitate. I can figure it out. Just makes it go a little faster. Half point PPR, ETN versus New York Jets, Swift versus Carolina, and D-Hop versus Tampa Bay in the flex position. How would I rate them? I mean, I feel most comfortable about Hopkins' role, not about it. Well, I guess I feel more comfortable about ETN's role. Just hate the matchup. ETN's probably the smart play. I would probably play Hopkins. Probably play the less smart play. I hope that, like he doesn't have the, it's down to his third quarterback. Still, he's been quarterback proof over the course of his career. Again, I'll just say it. ETN's the smarter play. I might play Hopkins. In a half point, in a PPR, Dame Overboard wants to know. Okonkwo versus Houston, Akins versus Tennessee, Higbee versus Denver, or Bellinger versus Minnesota. I have Okonkwo. Will scares me too, so maybe I just wait and see what's up with Ryan Tannehill. Has yet to practice this week. It doesn't look good, right? I mean, it doesn't look positive. But I mean, I want to say it was. I should look it up and just see. Let's see, Tennessee. What week was that? Was it week 9? I want to say, or maybe it was week 8. There it is. Malik Willis, 6 of 10 for 55 yards. I mean, maybe he's progressed. Maybe they, it's also easy to run against Houston. So I'd probably not want to go Okonkwo just based on that. So if Ryan Tannehill, Dame, is playing, I'd be fine playing Okonkwo because none of these other guys thrill me. Might be Higbee if it's not Okonkwo for me. Jimmy Williams, flex spot, full PPR, Robinson versus 49ers, Ingram versus Jets, Goodwin versus Chiefs. Would lock it out. I don't love Robinson's matchup, but I do love his volume. Because I don't love the other guys either, right? I think Goodwin is a reasonable play, and maybe it turns into a shootout, or they need to play keep up at the very least. That's tough. I would probably play the volume, but it's a bad matchup. So maybe it depends, Jimmy, on what you need. Look at your opponent's lineup. You just need a floor play, a guy that's going to not get you a 0. I think that's probably Robinson. Do I think he'll get you double digits? That's maybe another question. And maybe Goodwin would be that guy that I think could maybe have a huge game. Although honestly, wouldn't would hate to have to bank on it. But if I needed more of a swing for the fence play, it'd probably be Goodwin. Jason Wilson, last one. Well, that makes me sad. I know it sounds like so final. I know this was close, but non-PPR, Dallas Goedert versus Cowboys or Dalton Schultz. I'm playing Dalton Schultz. Thank you, Thomas. I appreciate that. Right? Look, you should trust yourself. I mean, I think a lot of times people come into these chats and these live streams and stuff, and you're just looking for a little validation, or just a little push over the edge. I think the playoffs. Here's what you know about the playoff time, right? We want to outsmart ourselves. We want to be the smartest person in the room, and sometimes being the smartest person in the room is making the easiest choice. Like some of the questions I get here, I get it, right? I get why you want to, go against it. Jeff Mans and I talk about this on the Sunday show a lot. Have yourself a depth chart, right? And follow your depth chart. And sometimes we get overblow matchups in our head. Sometimes we overblow the weather in our head, right? We sit there and we say, oh, the weather's going to be horrible. I know people who did that going into the Buffalo game last week. And I said, wait and see how bad the weather is. I'm kind of weather agnostic, right? Because football is played in the winter and it's cold in the winter and there's snow and all kinds of crap that you play through, and still offense gets played. But also the same with with just in general, we want to this matchup is so bad. It is. It's not a great matchup. But also Trevor Lawrence is on a bit of a heater, man. So anyway, don't want to digress too far, but I appreciate you listening. And this is the goal here. I just want to talk it through and give you enough information for you to make the best decision for you, right? I talk about hunches all the time. I have hunches every damn week. I play a lot of my hunches. I don't know that you need to play my hunches. You should be playing your hunches. As long as it's not crazy. I'll tell you if it's crazy. Tony Laswell, TD only, Deion Jackson versus Chargers or White versus Arizona as the third running back. I'd probably go White in that case, right? I don't trust that offense. If I'm without Najee, says Mr. Scampers, and I hope you're not, because I think you won't be. And/or Chubb. Oh my gosh. Dylan, Singletary, Thielen, Chark in half point. Maybe you want to say the order you have them. I mean, pretty close between Dylan and Singletary. I mean, I think Thielen and Chark are reasonable. I'd rank them how you have them. I mean, Chark's been playing okay. Not a big fan of the matchup, though. Slim Reaper or Mike Evans? Who is the Slim Reaper? Help me out. It's not clicking. HB, sorry. I'd be crazy to willpower. I'd be crazy to start Pickett, Mac Jones, Zach Wilson, Tyler Huntley, Andy Dalton, Darnold, Mayfield, or Nick Foles over Minshew and Purdy, right? Be crazy? I don't know if crazy. No. I mean, maybe if you play Mayfield. I'm not playing Mayfield. I don't know. Yeah, I think you're joking. Alejandro Garcia, need one. Lawrence, Gino, Minshew, or Jones. Looking like I need upside. Maybe get the guy in the shootout and go with Gino in that case. You know, swing for the fence play. Even without Lockett, I'd probably go Smith there. Baffling. Need one. Hi, Bob. Hello, Charles Davis. One for PPR. Christian Watson at Miami, Michael Pittman versus Chargers, or George Pickens versus Raiders. Probably like them in the order you have them. Let me just double check the matchup on Watson. Yeah, I like them pretty easily in the order you have them. Watson well ahead of Pittman. You know, close to the same tier, but easily Watson. Andy would like to know Njoku or Everett at tight end. I'm going to play Njoku at tight end. Everett's good, solid. I mean, they're both inside the top 10, or Everett's right at the top 10. It seems like there's more options than, you know, you throw in Eckler and Palmer, and at some point it gets a little more diluted than I'd like for Everett. Thoughts on Gabe Davis production versus Bears, full PPR, and a possible inclement weather, wide receiver 3 only. Probably so, Jimmy. I mean, anyone who's been here a lot knows I'll go off on the Gabe Davis rant when you give me an opportunity. And Gabe Davis is a high variance player who has not hit the high end as much as we'd like this season. Been a lot more single digit than double digit production. The weather adds to that, but again, I'm not gonna, you know, unless it's like the bomb cyclone is hitting. If it's just cold, like we saw, you know, in Buffalo. You know, where the snow didn't start until late and it wasn't a huge factor, it didn't seem to me. You know, if it's just cold, I'd be fine playing him, but definitely wide receiver 3 only, kind of for me, no matter what, right? Good weather, bad weather, any of those. Alejandro, defense, KC, Tampa Bay, Cleveland, or Denver. So it's hard to get into the scoring systems for defenses because they vary so widely. I tend to do this, Alejandro. I tend to go against the quarterback. And you know, first of all, I want a defense that has a lot of playmaking capabilities. And then I pick on the quarterback. In this case, Denver Bronco has some of both of those things. Going against Baker Mayfield, and just a lousy Rams offense that's already, you know, minus many pieces. Now no Ben Skowronek. Now they lost their starting center. So pretty easy call for me there in Denver. Oh no, Jason Wilson! I want to see you last week. Hope it goes well. Happy holidays either way. I appreciate you all, and appreciate everyone who shows up every week. And it's been great chatting back and forth with you. I'll keep doing this into the into the postseason for DFS plays and stuff like that. Again, you know, the holidays, no Saturdays. Last week, no Saturday. This week because of the Saturday games. But I'll be back on Saturdays as well soon enough. And you know, I'll do this some in the off season because there is no off season. There is the alter season, we like to call it around here. And so we'll be looking forward to seeing you. Of course, Most of you know I'm at footballdiehards.com. It's a website where all kinds of tons of information, news, notes, developments, things that you need to know right up to the last minute, heading into kickoffs. All those things are there, and also some more in-depth analysis. Right now we have all our waiver wire stuff up. Matthew Sharon, the Dollar Store, Evan Tarciano, the waiver wire wizard. We have Joe Kalana's early injury overview and free agent preview every week. Got the Commish HQ. Love the commissioner articles from Reginald James. We'll have coming in the coming days all our DFS content. Jamie Calandro, Justin Lanero, myself. Gary Davenport will show up with his Shadow Nose, his coverage report. Casey Joyner with his blue-rated wide receivers, which is always a great piece, guys, that you can really leverage. Brad Cruz, one of the top high-stakes players in the land, will come up with his sit starts for each set of games. Drew Phelps with his prop bet stuff. All kinds of good information. Jamie Calandro, Eric Romoff will be here Friday night for the DFS lineup show this week, normally on Saturdays. This week on Fridays, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Don't miss it. Good stuff there. So anyway, thank you, Thomas. I appreciate that. Charles Davis, Ken Walker at KC or Zeke versus Philadelphia. I'm going to probably play it safe and go Zeke, right? I mean, you can run against the Eagles. And also, Walker, it hasn't been great. Their offensive line and Seattle's not playing extremely well. Walker's not practicing to start the week. I'm guessing that's just maintenance, but maybe it's something more. I'm just going to avoid it all and play Zeke. Yeah, I don't know who the Slim Reaper is. I do. As soon as he says who it is, Devontae Smith. So that was like in the back of my mind. Like, is it Devontae Smith? Yeah. So who are we? So I have to scroll back and see who it was. It was Devontae Smith or who? Hey, see, this is the problem with the nicknames. If I don't know, I lost the question. So if you want to ask it again, Willpower, ask me who it is because I don't have to scroll back up. So, all right, have to choose between Goff, Rodgers, and Lamar. I don't think Lamar will play. I don't think Lamar will play either, so I think you have to choose between Goff and Rodgers, and I choose Rodgers and hope he gets the hand signals right. And thank you, Damian, for that. That's kind of what I saw, but I go, have I really heard that before? Sometimes the nicknames never know. Hi, Remy. Thanks for coming. Hello, Benny. Thanks for coming. Appreciate you showing up. Betty Pichardo, I have to choose between Goff, Rodgers, and Lamar if he plays. Okay. So, yeah, so I think, did I just do that one? Yeah, I did that one. Be patient if you ask. I'll get to you. And do I trust Higgins this week? I do. Got into full practice today, Benny. And look, last week it was just fine, right? I mean, look, there's going to be times where we get hosed as fantasy managers. The problem is we don't get to know everything. We're not there for pregame warm-ups. And if we're not on it, like, this week we knew, hey, let's watch Twitter and watch all the beat writers in Cincinnati to make sure Higgins looks okay. We don't always do that, right? You don't always know what these weird developments that can happen. It's happened twice with Higgins. I get it. So it's a little more worrisome. But I'm going to go ahead and trust him this week, unless we hear something in the injury report. But yeah, for now, Higgins, yes. And by the way, Tyler Boyd off the injury report. What a tough dude. The bone came through his skin. Ouch. Mr. Scampers listed him in the order of his hunch. I appreciate you always coming, Mr. Scampers, as always. Andrea Knight, Smith, White, Arizona need one PPR. Like, I want to play Knight if it's, if he's up and running. The questionable designation screws me up. It'd probably be slightly over White over Smith. Like, I'm not against Smith. I just wonder, two layers of concern there. Is Gardner Minshew going to be okay? Probably so. Is Dallas Goedert going to be back and cut into Smith's workload? I mean, it seems to me the rise of Smith, or the more consistent Smith, has come. They call him the Slim Reaper, in case you guys didn't know that. Me being a smart ass. So and maybe it shouldn't be a concern for me, but it is a little bit in the back of my mind. It seemed like his kind of ascent up to a more consistent weekly production coincided with Goddard's departure. Seems like more targets, etc. So either way. And as mentioned before, the Goddard fared really well with Minshew last time. So yeah, I want it to be Knight, honestly, if he's up and running, because it's a great matchup, and they have Zach Wilson. Maybe they want to run. Purple Cat? Wait a minute. Love cats. Full PPR. 3 questions for you. Thoughts on Miles Sanders? Is he a risky boom bust? Thoughts on Zay Jones this week? Him or Mike Williams? And Goddard or Andrews at tight end? I would, boy, the Andrews thing is a conundrum, right? I don't know what the hell we're doing with him. I mean, it's hard not to play him because of the investment you made in him. We always talk about around here, divorce the name from the numbers. And when you do that, the numbers are horrible. Goddard, I mean, you can make the argument against, right? I mean, he's coming back, first game back. Do they give him full run? He's got a different quarterback, but he has some success in the past. He's been pretty heavily targeted before he was injured. The rest of the tight ends have not contributed well. They really need him to show up. I could easily talk myself out of Mark Andrews, someone who's heavily invested in Mark Andrews. And I think the only reason you're playing him is your FOMO, your fear of missing out on the big game. There's no other reason to play him right now. Remember, this offense hasn't been great. Let's go back to when Lamar Jackson was playing. He did not nail, I think he had what are the numbers? Let me just look it up because it's been pretty horrible. Over the last 9 games, Lamar Jackson had 7 touchdown passes and 5 interceptions that he played in, right? It hasn't been great. No Rashad Bateman. That's kind of, teams have been double teaming. Greg Roman talked about it with Andrews last week. I'm more talking myself out of playing Mark Andrews than talking you out of playing it because I don't have as good of options as you, Purple Cat. So I'm probably going to go Goddard there. 3 questions and then, so Miles Sanders. My first thought on Miles Sanders is, what the hell, Shea Steichen and Nick Sirianni? Give him the ball. You had a great matchup last week. You didn't play him until the middle of the second quarter. You didn't give him enough touches. Granted, he didn't, play well when you didn't give him the touches. But Miles Sanders is, a top 5 back, I want to say. Where are we at just in the big picture? I mean, it's, I think this week maybe they course correct, right? They talked about it a little bit after the fact. Maybe we didn't give him the ball enough. Well, you think? Miles Sanders, running back 11 on the season, 200 PPR points. Yeah, I'm probably going. I mean, I think it normalizes a little bit. I guess that's what I'm going to say, Purple Cat. I think he is probably less risky than we think. He's been pretty consistent at it, averaged a touchdown a game for the previous 8 games. Zay Jones, I don't like the matchup that week, but I think he's still playable. I probably prefer Mike Williams. Got a quarterback issue though. Yeah, I think that's the determining factor. I just want to double check the rankings and see. Am I going? Just double checking my work here. Yep, I like Mike Williams better. All right, Benny. Tight end, Johnson or Conquo? Johnson for sure. Benny also has to choose between running backs, McKinnon, and just like Johnson is kind of established himself. I don't want to belabor the point because I'm sure Malik Willis is progressing and will improve, but 6 attempts last game against Houston, his last start, if he plays. If it's Ryan Tannehill, I probably have a different view of this, although Johnson has been good. Johnson scores touchdowns, man. It's lots of red zone targets. Running backs, McKinnon, Elliott, Jacobs, Dobbins, Kamara. What if I told you not to play Josh Jacobs? You would slap me in the face, rightfully so. You're playing Jacobs. I'm probably playing Dobbins. Not against McKinnon in a PPR. You need to give me more information, Benny. Andy, thanks, Bob. Oh, thank you, Andy. Got a few more minutes here, so I'll try and get through the rest of these questions. I scrolled down too far. Thank you, Andy. Good luck for you. Appreciate it. Appreciate you, E111. I would have you on through the intercom at work. You should work that out. I would agree with that. Thank you, Jimmy. I appreciate it. Buddy got hosed on that Herbert crazy throw interception where he got thrown back in the end zone. Bad beats are the worst, right? I hate those. So I'll go ahead and confess. I was in a league, a CBS Sports IDP league, playing atomizer and had a great lineup. I don't know how it happened even in hindsight when I look at it. I played Van Jefferson as one of my receivers over Zay Jones. The hell was I thinking? I go back and I can remember talking myself through it and thinking I had really valid points. And certainly my points weren't valid whatsoever. I felt like the Dallas defense was going to, put a little more of the kibosh on Lawrence, which maybe is shading my Lawrence answers here, right? Because I thought Dallas would get on him. I knew though that Dallas the pass rush is, the tough part. If he could escape the pass rush, the coverages aren't that great. But anyway, bad beat. Benny, do I think Osborne will go off this week again, or should I stick with Godwin and Higgins and put McKinnon into flex? Yes, I would do all those things before I play Osborne, who might well go off again, right? So, but I think I think this is a case where maybe we're trying to outsmart ourselves a little bit. I'm play with the guys to get you, play the logical guys, and definitely McKinnon into flex. I think over Osborne. Thank you, Tony. I appreciate that. I hope you're back next week. And don't apologize, Benny. That's what I'm here for. Need one, E111, 1 point PPR, Cooper versus New Orleans, Deontay Johnson versus Las Vegas, Chris Moore versus at Tennessee, Goodwin. Yes, not Godwin. KC Burks versus Houston. Again, I think Burks will be back this week. If there's no Ryan Tannehill, I'm not interested. Chris Moore sounds like Brandon Cooks will be back, but maybe not Nico Collins. So that'll, makes it a little less. I'm gonna probably go Cooper. It's freezing cold. I don't mind Deontay Johnson's matchup, so maybe that's a good one to go against as well. It's between Deontay Johnson and Cooper. And I'm probably going to go Cooper. Thank you, Dame. Would you play McKinnon or Jared Cook or James Cook over Aaron Jones, Stevenson, or Walker? I think McKinnon's in the conversation with all those guys, and maybe over Walker, who hasn't been great. Thank you, Andrea. I appreciate it. Andrea. Thank you, Andrea. Happy holidays to you. SexChat69.site with your hot photo here. Probably not for me. Thomas playing trust from Andre Stevenson versus Bengals. Trust is not the right word, but he's a viable play. Watch the injury report. He's limited to open the week. So is Damian Harris. You need to watch that. James Cook at Chicago or Latavius Murray at the Rams. I'm playing Latavius Murray. Feel good cat story. I saved a feral cat who was asking for help. Took it to a shelter that finds him a home. They sent a video saying they love the cat and decided to keep it themselves. That's how you end the chat. The happy cat story. What do you think, Scampers? What do you think, Purple Cat? Is that a win? All right, everybody. Thank you very much. Good luck this weekend. Hope you get your playoff wins, and I see you next week. I'll be Wednesday. What is the schedule like next week? Are there all Saturday games? I got to look. Let me look before I go and let you know what we're going to do next week. Again, Friday night, you'll catch the DFS chat live stream with Eric Romoff and Jamie Calandro. All the games are Sunday. So I will be back a week from Saturday for your enjoyment. It's New Year's Eve, and I don't party or anything, so we got all that. So anyway, I'll be back next Wednesday night. I will be back next Saturday, noon, Wednesday, 7 p.m. So usual times. You can catch me on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio a bunch over the coming days. Thursday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, with Justin Fensterman sitting in for Dempsey, who will be covering the Jacksonville Jaguars on his local station. Friday night, me and Dempsey back 10 to midnight, taking your calls. Probably nothing but your calls. Getting ready for Saturday, so you can get in there if I didn't answer your questions there, or if there was new information or things have changed, or I figured out who the Slim Reaper is. Thanks again, Damien, for that. Up to speed on nicknames for the day. It's good news. You can catch me Saturday twice on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. 11 to 1 with Jeff Mans doing the pregame show. Then again from 7 to 10 Eastern Time, me and Dempsey will come in and recap the games. If you have questions heading into Sunday, we'll do that. Then Sunday, Christmas Day, Justin Fenster and myself on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 3-hour tour. We'll take you around the league, recap the games, figure out what else is going on, and wish you a Merry Christmas. And I'll do that now. Merry Christmas again, everyone. Thanks for coming. Really appreciate the time. We'll see you next time. I'm Bob Harris. Over and out.